that best aligns with their experience and with their desired certification area. In addition to simplifying this application process, extended certification programs have also been expanded for 2022. There'll be many more spaces for participants to actually complete coursework towards the certification, and additional partner schools and universities will also be offering additional cohorts. In previous years, there would have been fewer than 100 participants in extended certification programs. This school year, there will be more than 300 spaces, and similarly, the number of partner colleges and universities has been increased from 4 to 7. Now, another way in which these programs have been expanded is by adding additional entry points for participants to actually begin their programs. This is, in a way, designed to encourage candidates to enroll in and complete additional certification programs in the time that best aligns with their specific needs. Now, the final and maybe most important way in which extended certification programs have been changed in 2022 is that due to funding from the federal stimulus funds, program coursework for participants in extended certification programs will be fully subsidized for the 2022-23 school year. In total, these changes aim to enable more teachers in your school to enroll in and complete the coursework needed to complete an additional certification or extension. So, looking at certification areas that will be available to teachers for the coming school year, current and qualified DOE teachers will be able to pursue either a special education certification in areas B through 2, 1 through 6, or grades 7 through 12, or a bilingual extension or ENL certification through an extended certification program. These programs will also have different starting points, as I mentioned, with summer, fall, and spring starting points, and will also feature different coursework styles with online, in-person, and hybrid models being available. I did also want to quickly cover the basic eligibility that a teacher in your school would have to meet in order to qualify for an extended certification program. First and foremost, a teacher would have to have an active initial or professional teaching certificate issued by NYSED. They would have also had to have completed a degree in education, and they would also need to have an active certificate in an area that is eligible for the extension or certification they're pursuing. So in the case of special education 7 through 12, if a teacher at your school was interested in pursuing that certification, they would need to have a base certificate in ELA, math, science, or an additional certification covering those secondary grades. Candidates would also need to be currently teaching at a New York City Department of Education school. Now, if a candidate would be pursuing a bilingual extension, there are a few additional requirements they would have to meet. They would need to pass a fluency screening to show that they are speaking, writing, and reading fluent in the language they're seeking an extension in. And they would also need to be teaching at a school with an approved bilingual program or that has been granted a waiver. I want to next turn to some program details, specifically programs whose cohorts are offered by institutions of higher education. Coursework for these programs' cohorts is going to be completed over 2 or 3 semesters, depending on the specific cohort start date and length. The partner colleges and universities will also be a mix of private and CUNY schools. However, because of the full subsidy for program program coursework, there will be no difference in the price that candidates actually experience for program coursework. Depending on the program, teachers may also be staffed under their new license area while still completing their coursework. And for schools, this is important because it enables schools to quickly meet the instructional needs of some of their highest need students while these teachers are still attaining these certifications throughout their program. And similarly, teachers who complete extended certification programs will also commit to teaching in that certification area for 2 years following the completion of their program. Again, for schools, this aims to encourage greater teacher retention in some of those high-need subject areas. And with that, I'll pass it over to Samantha, who will discuss some of the finer points of NYC STEP.
Okay, thank you, Alex. So as Alex mentioned, I'm going to talk a little bit more about two of our sort of unique opportunities, and then share, why this is a benefit to your school, which I think you all know because you are here today. And then we'll talk through next steps, action steps for you, and then we'll open it up for questions. So let's talk about NYC STEP. This is a really exciting program near to my heart. It is short for the New York City Specialized Teacher Enhancement Pathway. And it is a certification program, graduate level program, that is both district designed and district managed. So what that means is we do not have a university partner. All of the coursework was designed in-house by the Special Education Office, the Division of Multilingual Learners, and the Office of Teacher Development. And this program has been in development for 3 or 4 years. We have been officially running coursework we are in our 3rd year now, going into our 4th year. We do have 3 NYSED approved graduate level courses that provide between 6 and 12 credits for current DOE teachers to work towards a bilingual extension or a secondary SWD certificate. So in a lot of ways, this is very similar to a university-led program in that it is graduate level coursework and it leads to a New York State certification, but there are some unique differences that we want to highlight today. So the program is school embedded, and what this means is teachers are in the subject area or grade level setting that they are working towards certification in. So if they are in the bilingual ed cohort, they are expected to teach at least half of their instructional day in a dual language or TVE classroom. And this is important to get the clinical requirements met by the state, and also to be able to take the coursework learnings and apply it to their instruction and to the assessments that they're doing in their course. The majority of the course is virtual. I would say 99% of the program is virtual, and most of the coursework is self-guided and asynchronous. So what this means is that teachers are completing online coursework in Blackboard for the most part at their own pace. They start at the beginning of the school year and the program ends in May. So it is a 1-year program, and it is a pretty accelerated opportunity for teachers because it is 12 credits that they're working towards in 9 months, 9 to 10 months. They also receive a coach in the form of a facilitator. So this is a high quality DOE teacher who supports them. This is someone who already possesses the certification that they are working towards. So a secondary SWD or bilingual teacher who supports them throughout the whole program. And as I mentioned, teachers should already be placed for at least half of their instructional day in the grade level or setting in which they are pursuing certification. So any NYC STEP teacher participants for fall 2022 would be expected to be working at least half of their day in that new setting. And then finally, much like what Alex shared with the other programs, we do expect that teachers commit to teach in that new certification for at least 2 years after successfully completing the program. So in a lot of ways, NYC STEP is just like our university extended certification programs, but there are some unique differences. And of course, it is fully district designed and led. And so we feel really proud of that because we know that it is really aligned to the needs of our city. Okay, moving ahead, and of course, we'll have time for questions as we wrap up. Want to touch briefly on CR-ITI, which is our Clinically Rich Intensive Teacher Institute. The reason that we wanted to highlight this is, there are two reasons actually. This is the only program within our extended cert universe that provides an ENL certificate. It is also the only program that we're talking about today that is not DOE subsidized or sponsored. So our office essentially supports with the recruitment and pipeline and pathway efforts for CR-ITI. And once teachers are selected, we give them over to the universities, and then the rest of the program is managed at the university level. So important to note that this is not a subsidized or tuition-free opportunity. There are program costs, and they do vary by university. I believe there will be 7 public and private universities that offer CR-ITI for this summer and fall, and we anticipate about 100 seats. So we know, ENL is a high need subject area, and this would be the program that your teachers could go through to work towards that certificate. Okay, so we have a couple final slides here before we open it up for your questions. I know there are some questions in the chat, which we will get to as soon as possible. So let's talk about, why you and your school would want to take advantage of extended cert programs. First and foremost, this is an opportunity to fill vacancies and in high need subject areas from within. So we know historically that the pool of new teachers is limited, especially in these high needs areas. Year after year, we see secondary special education, bilingual education as really high needs areas, and our incoming pool of new teachers is limited, and we do not have enough new teachers to fill the needs. So this is a really great opportunity to tap high quality performers at your school, current teachers at your school, and have them go through these programs and on this track. It also gives you some staffing flexibility, right? So teachers can be staffed in a general or special education classroom, for example. Teachers can teach monolingual or bilingual settings, for example. So it expands your options and provides a lot of flexibility. Of course, it leads to compliance. This is not a short-term solution. Teachers will be in a program for at least 1 year or 2 to 3 semesters, and then they need to apply for that certificate. So this is not an immediate fix, but it does show your school and it shows the city that you are on track towards reaching compliance. And then, of course, on the teacher side and on the student side, you are better meeting the needs of your students, particularly those special populations of students. You're providing already high quality teachers with an opportunity to enhance their practice, grow their practice, and we see that it leads to greater teacher retention. This is a chance for teachers to flex their muscles, learn something new, take on new leadership in your school. And of course, we do ask them to commit to staying in that certification for at least 2 years after completing the program. So there is a retention component as well. Okay, so as you're thinking about, what to do from here, there are just a couple of questions we think are important to consider. This is the time of year where we know that schools are starting to think about hiring and starting to think about next year. And these are some of the things that we think will help you decide if you want to recommend a teacher or encourage a teacher at your school to consider an extended certification program. So I'll just leave these here for a second for you to read independently. So step 1 would be to review your hiring needs, especially in special education and bilingual. As I've said already, we know these are high need areas, and we are always in need of great teachers to fill these vacancies. So this is information that you should be reviewing, and we're sure you're all reviewing already with your HR director and other folks, in central office. You should be having conversations with your current staff about their plans for next year, so that if you do anticipate vacancies coming up, you are aware of them before we get to the summer. And then if you are interested in, or if you have a need for bilingual teachers, think about what teachers at your school might have fluency that would, do well in this kind of program. And then, of course, you want to start thinking about and identifying those teachers that would benefit from expanding their certification. These programs are graduate level, they are rigorous, they are additional time and effort on behalf of the teacher beyond their normal school day. And so we want to ensure that the teachers who apply and participate in these programs are set up for success and ready for taking on this additional challenge. And we have 2 links here, which you may have seen before. These were in the P Digest last week and have gone out in a couple of other places. So the first link is just our referral form. So this is a principal-facing or school admin-facing form where you can tell us who you think would be great for these programs. And once we get their name and information, we will reach out automatically to encourage them to apply. Our application is tentatively scheduled to launch in about a week or 2. We are working fast and furious towards that launch. And in the interim, we have a teacher interest form that is live. That's the second link. I think Alex is putting both of these links in the chat, and we will share them out afterwards as well. But that is what teachers can use to indicate their interest in any of these opportunities now until our application opens at the end of the month. And when it does, we will of course be reaching out to all of the names on the referral form, all of the names on the teacher interest form, and encouraging them to apply. So that was a lot of information. We have a lot of time, which we're glad we built in so that you all can ask us any questions that you have. And of course, we'll be sending this out as well as the links and resources after today's presentation, but we would love to take some time to answer your questions if you have them. So I'm going to go ahead and stop screen sharing so that
Special ed. If I have already taken one course last year, would I still be qualified to apply for it if I just need one more class?
Teachers would need to be willing to start the program from the beginning.
Hi, Samantha. I have a question. If I'm currently teaching at my school, I'm a District 75 teacher, and I'm in a K-2 811, I was interested in the ENL certification. Would I have to be placed and working out of my classroom and in my ENL spot in September if I started the program in the summer?
Because ENL is only offered through CR-ITI, which is our clinically rich teacher intensive, I do not know the staffing requirements. Some of our programs do require that you are teaching, like I said, at least half